Will Caitlin Clark and the Fever actually miss the playoffs? Is there more to her injury than the team's saying? Also, one of the dumbest interviews by an NBA player you will ever see. I'm Doug Kezirian. This is Hard Pass, also available in podcast. Is it time to panic for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever? And why don't we have more information regarding her groin injury? She hasn't played in nearly a month and not expected back on the court anytime soon. She's barely practicing. So what should we think about this injury? Because believe it or not, the Fever are actually in jeopardy of missing the playoffs, and they're seemingly taking their sweet time bringing Clark back to action, all while losing both backup point guards for the rest of the season due to injury. Indiana most recently just lost as a 9.5-point home favorite, and their coach post-game complained about the officiating. Is that a last resort? Here are a couple plays that drew the ire of fans, players, and Fever coach Stephanie White. Early in the game, while shooting a three-pointer, Dallas's Paige Beckers lands on the defender's foot. So that defender, Sophie Cunningham, had a foul, and that was upgraded to a flagrant 1. 3 free throws for Dallas and the ball back. To me, seemed like the right call as Beckers rolled her ankle. It's the old Zaza Pachulia rule in the NBA. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, game on the line. Kelsey Mitchell also attempts a three-pointer. They review it and decide it's a common foul. Bizarre. Now, it's one thing to miss a call in the flow of the game, but to review the play and then blow it with the game on the line, that's completely different. Stephanie White, upset afterwards, not necessarily addressing the difference in ruling of those two calls, but instead how her two all-stars, the healthy ones that is, are officiated in general.
I think there's a double standard in how people get their calls. I think Kelsey Mitchell, number one, is held or chucked on every freaking possession and never gets a call off the ball. I think Aaliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. She never gets a call. And you know, there's a double standard there.
Okay, so perhaps Stephanie White trying to work the system in the officiating for the next Indiana Fever game. Bottom line is Indiana needed a 22-8 run to close the first half just to tie the score. And in the second half, again, as a 9.5-point favorite, they allowed a 17-0 run in the second half to go down big. Yes, they mounted an impressive comeback, had the ball in the final seconds, down one, chance to win. But still, that's pathetic when you consider the opponent a really shorthanded Dallas team playing without Arike Gumbawale. Which brings us to a heat check. And there's some reaction to this game, specifically the refereeing in this game. So we'll start with the notorious BDC. How can we take this sport seriously with the reffing in the Wings Fever game? And there was a lot of similar thoughts in that regard. Mula, what a great handle. How the F is the Fever losing to the Wings without Arike? And then a funny Jimmy Butler gif. Love that. Trent Harvey goes, Wings shooting gaps all night, but Fever still can't figure out maybe they should be throwing cross-court passes. And then another funny GIF, or whatever it's pronounced, Indy, 18 turnovers at home against a bad defense. And then CCFC, obviously a Caitlin Clark fan account. This Fever versus Wings game brought out moods, and it was the stick figure banging its head against the wall. So the Fever are now 18-15 on the season, 11 games to go. They're currently the 6th seed. Top 8 makes the playoffs. So it's a little hairy right now. It's a logjam too at the bottom of those standings. Now the 9th seed is only 2.5 games back, and that's the LA Sparks, who own the tiebreaker with the Fever head-to-head. Mystics also lurking just a half game back. So it's a logjam, like I said. Now, given the point guard injuries and no timeline for Caitlin Clark's return, it's not that crazy to say Indy could miss the playoffs. They have 11 remaining games, as I said, and based on the quality of their remaining opponents, I looked at the schedule, 3-8 finish is possible. It's not that crazy. If that happens, the Sparks would only need to go 6-6, and they have one more meeting with the Fever, and that game's in LA, so that's a double whammy. Clark is the giant question mark. We don't truly know what's going on. The team's been very coy with updates, but even when she comes back, she may not be fully healthy, as we've seen earlier this year. The latest report is she's not practicing, and she's only returned to full court running within the past week. Now, I understand the caution. It makes sense, given she came back from 2 injuries this year and struggled each time. Hamstrings on top of that are also very tricky. A strain is a tear, just depends on the grade. You can't play with fire, though, and wait for the playoffs, because those playoffs just may never come. Let me know your thoughts. Am I being too extreme? Should we just relax? This is a team that just ripped off a long win streak, even without Clark. Join the conversation. Let me know your thoughts on that front, because I think they're playing with fire, but maybe I'm just the prisoner of the moment, as they say. Another headline that's grabbing a lot of buzz right now is Michael Porter Jr., most recently played with the Denver Nuggets, was traded this summer to the Brooklyn Nets. Well, he appeared in a podcast called One Night with Steiny, and I'm not saying he's the dumbest guy in the NBA, but I'm not saying he is either. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because maybe he was just too loose and comfortable and thus too loose-lipped. But he tried to explain and maybe justify the temptation of gaming the system with sports betting and prop bets.
Think about if you could get all your homies rich by telling them, yo,
no shit,
bet $10,000 on my under, this one game I'm gonna act like I got an injury and I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna come out after 3 minutes, and they all get a little bag because you did it one game. Like, that is so not okay. But some people probably think like that. They come from nothing, and 100%. All their homies have nothing, 100%. And they're like, bro, if I come out of this game after 3 minutes and y'all all hit on my under, we're all getting a little bag.
First of all, your boys can't get rich on a $10,000 score. It's a nice amount of money, but you're not going to get rich. Second, your brother is literally banned from the NBA for his involvement in this type of scheme. Maybe you should just say, hey, it's against the rules, and not blame the fact that there's a bunch of sports betting commercials and marketing around live events. Just like my buddy recently said on radio, you don't see guys and players and athletes drinking beer on the sideline just because there's a lot of beer advertisement in the arena. Yes, sports betting is more visible now, but players have always been approached or had the temptation of breaking the rules for a quick buck because of illegal bookmaking. Sports betting wasn't invented a handful of years ago. It's been around for decades. At the end of the day, I just cannot believe Porter said those comments given what his brother's going through. Let me know your thoughts. Please join the conversation. Was Porter completely brain dead, or does he have a point and he's actually credible because he's speaking from personal perspective given what his brother, Jonte Porter, has gone through? Let me know your thoughts in that regard. Fans in the Stands is when we like to respond to comments from the audience, or our fans in the stands. The comments in the YouTube section, please let us know. Join the conversation. Let us know what you like, what you dislike about the show, what you want to see more of, less of, random questions, maybe betting-related questions. I know Arthur's getting a shout-out recently on the last episode. That's always a fun thing. This recent question by Potterhead: does the NBA draft not matter as much anymore? Lakers will be a middle-of-the-league team now for 2 years until they snag an all-star center. Probably won't get great draft positions either. I think he's talking about draft capital, I guess. I did respond, and I appreciate the comment. First-round picks are super valuable. Lakers have a lot of them coming up, and so maybe they can make a move for a Giannis or a Jokic before those guys become free agents in 2027, maybe next summer. Those teams, Milwaukee and Denver, will be nervous about losing them for nothing and actually want the Lakers trade. But those first round picks, I mean, look, SGA was at 12th overall. We just saw Dallas had the most improbable lottery odds to get the number one pick and got it. So first round picks are super valuable. They're also just trade chips, right? We've seen recent guys, whether it be Rudy Gobert recently traded, Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant. First round picks are valuable. It's really hard to forecast what a team's going to finish, especially in the West. I mean, like 2 or 3 games can separate the 10 seed from the 3 seed. So yes, drafts still matter. And if you're good at drafting, like the Thunder, who got J-Dub around the 13th pick or so, the 11th pick, there are really good players that skip and, or the drop, I should say. And we all know about Giannis falling to the double digits. This was cool. Salzy says, how is this the first time I've seen Arthur? What a stud. I have an almost 4-year-old blue brindle American bully. I wish Salzy left his name. Arthur, come here. And he's now back. The second time you are seeing Arthur. So doesn't have his bow tie. He likes to take it off when he gets home. Doesn't want to be so formal at home, but he's the best. We love Arthur here on the show. So we appreciate everyone joining in, and please let us know your thoughts on all these topics, specifically Michael Porter Jr.'s interview and what's going on with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. That'll do it for this episode of Hard Pass.